like pure silk. The fading lights in Seattle, that's looking down from Queen Anne. That's Key Arena right at the bottom of the hill. Let's take a look at the UCLA Bruins, who come in 5-4 but 1-0 in conference. Mackenzie Serta had the game-winning goal last time out in the conference opener against Oregon. Taylor Smith, of course, is the target forward. Herman watch list, a couple of goals this year, coming back after the 2-game suspension. Lauren Caskey, 2 goals as well, had the game-winning goal against Wake Forest. University of Washington 7-2-1, but they lost their conference opener down in Arizona. That's a good Arizona team. That was 1-0. Shannon Simon leads the team in both goals and assists. 5 goals, 3 helpers. Kimby Keeler, 3 goals. In fact, she had 2 of them in a 35-second span against Gonzaga. That ended up the 2-2 draw. Amanda Perez also has 3 goals, and she had 2 in a single game as well against Louisville. Leslie Gallimore, in her 22nd year at Montlake, 257 victories, longest tenure of any coach now in the Pac-12. She took over here in 1994. She's taken the Huskies to the NCAA tournament 13 times, including 5 out of the last 7. Amanda Cromwell, 3rd season at UCLA. 2013 national champion since she was Soccer America's Coach of the Year. She ranks in the top 20 in career wins in NCAA history. She is actually in her 19th season in her career. I know she doesn't look it. 271 victories on her resume. This is a different year for UCLA. We mentioned at the top, they were great last year. They lost only 1 game all of last season. It was the last game of the year in the quarterfinals to Virginia. But most of that team, at least the starters, 9 of them are gone. This is a different UCLA team. And Washington probably would be the favorite on paper coming in. A young Washington team that has played very well so far. 7-2-1. And Washington is 4th in the conference, scoring 17 goals. So that's going to be the key now for UCLA to keep this game close early on. Last year, UCLA came up and beat Washington 6-0. Allie, what are you looking for in the first couple of minutes of this one?
Well, just like any soccer match, I mean, both teams are going to feel each other out and try to weather the storm in the first 5 minutes, put each other under pressure, and not really take any chances, just be safe on that back line.
UCLA in their traveling whites, trimmed in blue and gold, and the Huskies in the dark uniforms with purple across the front, says Washington. And I thought it was interesting, we talked with both coaches this week. They both kind of came in with the same mindset. They were talking about patience and slowing things down.
I thought it was very interesting considering they seem to play somewhat different styles and that UCLA is a much faster team and they, you know, what Amanda Cromwell said was she wants her team to be less frantic. They need to be more composed in that final third, make one more pass before unleashing that shot, just better decision making. And for Coach Gallimore, it was patience in attack as well, but it was different. It was, you know, possess the ball longer to allow those outside backs to get into the attack. So they're trying to accomplish the same thing with their patience, but just through different methods.
Well, certainly Amanda Cromwell knows that this is a much different team, and she's challenged this group. She said, look, the expectations were high based off of last year, but you're a new group, and you should use that as motivation. And people got all upset when UCLA lost a couple games early in the year. What happened to UCLA? Well, it's a different team, and so you have to adjust your expectations. And then, of course, we're still very early in the season. This is just the second conference game for each of these 2 teams.
You're right. I mean, it is early, but that's the beauty of college soccer, is that there is constant turnover and that teams have to take on new identities each and every season. And it seems as though UCLA is lacking a bit of leadership and a bit of belief in themselves right now that they can compete in this top 10 bracket.
At Shannon Simon there with that pirouette and then took on 2 defenders. Knocked away and taken away by UCLA's Courtney Proctor. UCLA has changed their lineup a little bit. In fact, they've had 19 different people start this year, counting tonight. I think Amanda Cromwell is still trying to figure out who plays well with who. That's a takeover at midfield. And the Bruins, their first incursion into the attacking third. And there's Taylor Smith, who's been out the last couple of games. A 2-game red card suffered against North Carolina.
But that's a glimpse at Smith's pace on that flank. And both teams have given up soft goals with goals in transition, silly turnovers out of that back line. And that was a case right there where the Huskies gave away a ball to UCLA in their transition game, and UCLA almost capitalized.
Annie Alvarado there with a quick touch. Where's the number 2 for UCLA? You would have to think that she's going to be that player that serves that final ball for UCLA, and that's kind of what's been missing for the Bruins. They've scored just 10 times all season long. But if they're going to get something going, it's probably going to have to go through Alvarado at some point.
You're right. She is the one that's going to be able to put the texture on that final pass, but she's also got to lead and help their team recognize when to slow it down and when to speed up the game. She has to dictate tempo as that kind of number 6 holding mid who can also step into that playmaking role.
So far, the team in a battle of wills here in the middle third. UCLA switches it to that left side for the first time today.
And there's Lavreski, number 10 for UCLA on that left flank. She likes to pop back in that seam between the defensive line and the midfield line and receive the ball and play make out of there.
Temperature dropping quite a bit. It was in the low 70s earlier today. We'll be in the high 50s by the time we're finished. UCLA training down, of course, in Westwood, where it's been not only hot but humid. There's Alvarado, chips it with the left foot, tries to get Smith running on, untouched, and will roll out, and that'll be a goal kick for Megan Kufeld for the University of Washington, and what a career she is putting together. She has 3 clean sheets already this year. She's played every minute of every match over the last 3 seasons, and with the 3 shutouts this year, now has 19 in her career. That's number 1 all-time at the University of Washington. And whose record did she break? The great Hope Solo.
Not a bad record to break. I'm sure one day she'll tell her children about that.
Absolutely. I mean, if you asked, 5 random people on the street to name the best goalkeeper in U.S. women's history, I bet 4 out of the 5 would say Hope Solo, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. I question the 5th who doesn't say her.
Shannon Smith, a nice turn on the ball, brings it right to the edge of the 18, dribbles through 3 Bruins, and finally the ball pops loose and Proctor is able to clear. Here comes UCLA on a counter. Look at Smith. Been saving up energy for 3 games. She missed the Pepperdine game, missed the Oregon game, and now lays it off. And Lavreski overruns it right at the edge of the area.
Now that's the dangerous transition game right there. The Huskies don't get in on their end, and UCLA just has that fast break. And the Huskies did a nice job of slowing it down, but UCLA has to take better chances with, or take a better look with that opportunity. Yeah,
Lavreski just had that ball get under her feet right at the edge of the 18. They deserve something better out of that, at least a look. And it reminded me of what Washington coach Leslie Gallimore told us earlier this week about how pacey UCLA is, that they can turn quickly on you. I mean, they covered 60 yards in just a few seconds and almost had a good shot early in this match. Taken away again by the Huskies. Amanda Perez has 3 goals for them, so keep an eye on Simon 15, Perez 17, and Kiever 20. Those are all the big scorers for Washington.
It's early, but both back lines have passed a clean ball right to the other team in the attacking third. And here's a look at just good stand-up 1v1 defending by Taylor Smith. You think, yeah, she's an attacking player, but look at her track back and just be patient defensively and get her team the goal kick.
You always love it when you see those offensive players getting back all the way inside the 18, right at the opposite end.
You love that. I never did as a player, but I love watching it.
Kimby Kiever plays that ball forward. Goes back to the UCLA keeper, Ariel Scheckman, who has been on the last 2 games for UCLA. They made a change at goalkeeper, and Scheckman so far has really produced. She's the Pac-12 goalkeeper of the week, 2 consecutive starts, and 2 consecutive shutouts. And somebody who's been kind of waiting in the wings for her chance. So Scheckman, very good in the air, as Cromwell told us, but a bit unorthodox. She kept saying that. She says she'll make you nervous sometimes, but hey, 2 clean sheets. It doesn't matter how you get it done, it's how many, right?
And I got the sense that Amanda Cromwell and her coaching staff aren't exactly sure what they have in Sheckman. And they're letting her really play her game and show what she's capable of, because they're not completely sold yet. She's had good performances, and she just has to keep that up. One area she's needing to improve upon is her communication. And here's just a look at the foul. Kimby Kiever tries to cut inside, and I mean, that's great defending to hold pressure there, spin the ball off, and Kim Kiever just makes a silly foul. There's no reason to foul there.
Yeah, she was frustrated because of that heavy touch. It got off her foot. She thought she was going to have a 1v1 right at the edge of the 18. Smith gets it to her right foot. She's a heavy right-footed player, but she can get off a cracker with her left every now and then if the ball sets up well.
But that play is a perfect example of why Coach Amanda Cromwell is probably scratching her head on the sidelines, because Taylor Smith is about 25, 27 yards out, and there's no reason to shoot that ball at all. It's not on. Possess it, find a teammate, find a new angle, get into new spaces, and try to play make and find another gap to get in on.
Gaske ahead to Lovrusky. Takes on 2. Alvarado. The ball's at Alvarado's feet as it is right now. If you're a Bruin fan, you just tend to relax. She's so good with it, it's tough to...
The problem is that her teammates relaxed too, and there were no dynamic runs off the ball.
Very good point. I was just going to say that. She was looking, and everyone was just looking back at her. Claire Winter, number 25, the redshirt sophomore from Lafayette, up in the Bay Area. Got her first action at Wake Forest, then played again at North Carolina, ended up playing 57 minutes against Pepperdine, and then started against Oregon. So her career is going in the right direction, getting more minutes. And the only way you get more minutes, especially playing for a coach like Amanda Cromwell, is by playing well.
Right, she's one of those busy players. She covers a lot of ground, and one of her areas that she's looking to work to improve upon is just having a bit of composure in the final third with her decision making and not panicking when she's in opportune moments. And that's a nice seam for her to sit in and play make out of.
You know, we were talking about the theme before, both Leslie Gallimore for Washington and Amanda Cromwell for UCLA, talking about patience, talking about slowing the game down just a little bit. And I wonder if that's just because both teams are so young at this point in the season. They just haven't played much together.
I think it's a combination of factors, really. I mean, a lot of times you need a leader, someone who steps on the ball and dictates tempo. And if you don't have that player kind of pulling the strings, then the youthfulness, the inexperience can take hold.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice give and go inside. And Smith got that ball back at her feet.
That is a nice little
Yeah, this was nice passing by UCLA in tight quarters.
Yeah, in the box, just a simple 1-2. And as we said earlier, Smith likes to get on that right leg. There's no reason. I mean, a good chest ball down to Smith. And if she can keep it on that left leg, she has an opportunity to bend it far post. There's just a better angle, better window that she could shoot that on frame.
That's left footer Lauren Kaske. UCLA puts 2 in the corner. She's the lefty, so obviously that one's nice because it bends towards the cage. We'll tee it up and do it again. Megan Kufeld, goals against average, 0.79. He's allowed 8 goals the entire year. UCLA has scored just 10 this year. This is their 10th game of the year. Hand in the air for Kaske, and again it goes short. Goes to the near post. Turned by Smith, and not much there. Bruins have possessed this ball probably 70-30 to start this game.
They have. I think that's a fair assessment. They've held the majority of the possession, which surprised me, but Amanda Cromwell has talked about they've been good with their possession to a certain point on the field, and that's exactly what we've seen play out in these first 12 minutes. They're great right up until about 70, that 75% yard line of the field, and then they just force it a bit.
Into the 13th minute. So far, neither team with a shot on goal. Washington has been an opportunistic team trying to counter like they are right here. Vanna McIlvain down the left side into the shadows. Plays it off one of the Bruins. And that'll be the first corner kick of the game.
And that's what
for
the Huskies
Washington.
want to see happen. They want these outside backs to get forward into the attack. McElvain can pull her run a bit wider there, give herself more space to work, give herself a little bit of more time when she gets on the ball. But nonetheless, that's a positive, encouraging sign.
Washington has the second most corner kicks in the entire conference, so expect Washington to emphasize that part of the game all night long.
Well, it's great to earn them. Now they have to capitalize upon them.
Yeah, that's true. You got to do something with it, right? It's just a statistic if it doesn't lead to anything. Yeah, UCLA's backline was so solid last year that this group, there's really no way they're going to live up to it this early in their careers. And so teams have been attacking, and UCLA's been so good for so long now that they seem like they're down a little bit. But you know, when you look at UCLA's schedule, they played 4 ranked teams already this year. You know, it could be a little misleading. Kenzie Serta trying to run onto that one. It was cleared out to be a UCLA throw-in.
I mean, you can just see how dangerous they are, and they're just lacking a bit of identity right now. They're not as fast on that back line, so they do get caught in the transition game. But it's really more about this offensive unit.
Poked away, back to Alvarado. Zoe Goralski. 50-50 ball and a good slide tackle, and Washington takes over at midfield. UCLA hustles back in transition. There's a foul called. Was that on the slide tackle?
It was absolutely a handball. Yep. She went to the ground and the ball came up and hit her.
And for Washington, sophomore from down in the Torrance area, which is only about a 30-minute drive from the UCLA campus. That's 30 minutes in moderate traffic for those watching in LA.
They don't know what moderate traffic is.
Alvarado with the free kick. Referee Alex Gorn putting down the paint, making sure Washington's back far enough. So Alvarado's got some options here. UCLA goes heavy left side, and everyone will put their run on. Chipped in by Alvarado and bends away, knocked out. An easy play for Megan Kufeld. Kufeld started all 20 games in 2013, all 23 games in 2014. She started every game this year. Washington lost its conference opener at Arizona. Kufeld made 4 saves in that game, but did allow the only goal of the match. Still 3 clean sheets so far in 10 starts. Knocked out of midfield, UCLA ball. Might expect it to be low scoring. UCLA doesn't score a lot. Washington has allowed more than 1 goal in only 1 match, the 2-2 draw against Gonzaga. And it's a really important match for Washington after they lost their opener at Arizona, and now playing at home where they're undefeated, 4-0 this year. Got to defend the house.
Just a little bit of a lack of patience there by the Huskies in that final third. One of the things that Coach Gallimore wants to see out of her front 3, more mobility. The runs need to be more dynamic, and that was an example right there. Rachel Wheeler had a nice diagonal run in behind, and they just didn't find her. So that movement was there. That's a positive sign. But now they've got to reward that run. And Kimby Keever and Kelsey Hedge really have to be a little bit more dynamic up top and be better options so they can get on the ball more, because they are dangerous players.
Chance for Simon. Stepped across that ball, and whenever Simon gets it, UCLA pulls that defense around her like shoelaces. All of a sudden there were 3 defenders. Everywhere she turned was a white shirt.
Well, they have to. They have to have pressure and cover around a player like her. She's shifty. She can elude pressure quite simply.
Smith tried to play a ball over the top to Serta. A bit too far. Kufeld was the first one there. Well, when UCLA is done here, they're going to go across the state out to the Palouse against number 21 Washington State. Coverage begins Sunday at 11 o'clock right here on the Pac-12 Network. Watch Pac-12 now, pac-12.com. UCLA and number 21 Washington State on Sunday. I'll tell you what, Washington State has been underrated the last 3 years. It's a tough place to play. That is a tenacious team, and they're going to beat some people this year just like they did last year, and they're really good at home. I mean, it's a good conference. You know, Stanford at the top, and Stanford's ranked 4th in the country. UCLA was picked 2nd, and UCLA's best soccer is still in front of it. Then you had SC and Cal, Arizona State. Some coaches think they're underrated. Colorado's been a very consistent team the last 3 or 4 seasons.
I mean, it's a great conference. You see, that's why there's so many players on the national team from coming out of the Pac-12. I mean, you just have quality games day in and day out in this league, and that only helps develop these players.
I saw Arizona earlier this season against Santa Clara, your alma mater, and Arizona looked really good. They were young, but you could see there was a lot of talent on that team, and they're fast. Dragged all the way down to the end line. Ball dribbles inside the 18. Back to the top, trying to get off a shot. Simon looking for help. Kimby Kiever. Those two work well together. Left footed by Simon was blocked. Kind of a mess here. UCLA has to keep that ball in. They'll just play it out over the side for a throw-in rather than give up another corner.
Such a positive moment for both teams because the Huskies were patient in the attack. They weren't forcing it. They were connecting. They were trying to find new angles. And then UCLA, just good pressure defensively, getting numbers around the ball and not diving in.
So a quick shot on number 19, Madison Ty for UCLA has been really important for them, especially at this end of the field. We're 20 minutes in, and so far neither keeper has really been tested. Certainly they haven't had to leave their feet. Goralski to throw it in for UCLA. Has a couple of assists this year. That's chipped in and more ambitious than anything else. No one there for Washington. Back to midfield. Allison Blas, her first touch of the game. Brings it to midfield and then plays that ball forward.
And you can see as soon as Kim Kiever gets on the ball, 2 players collapse on her as well. That's a player that UCLA keyed in on. They want to get numbers around her. And they get the ball wide to Kim Kiever, which is great for the Huskies. But like I said, 2 UCLA defenders collapse on her and just good 1v1 defending. But Kim Kiever comes up big and earns the corner.
I'm guessing if you and I know that Simon 15, Perez 17, Kiever 20 are the goal scorers for Washington, Amanda Cromwell probably knew it too coming in. And her defense is well aware. When those 3 get the ball, UCLA defense gets up on its toes. Here's a shot, and right at the near post, and somehow Ariel Sheckman got to that ball and parried it away. There was a lot of traffic in front of the keeper. How did she pick it up?
It was just a short ball into Perez. I've seen that time and time again, but this one comes off nicely. I mean, nice look to go near post on Sheckman, but Sheckman gets to the ground quickly and parries that away.
And if there's a weakness in her game right now, because she's a big keeper, it's getting to those balls on the ground,
you would think,
right?
But that was just a nice play.
Yeah, she was all over that one, and her defense didn't help her out an awful lot right there. It just got in her way more than anything else. Sheckman wins that ball in the air. That was a good call. She stepped right to it and took it out of the air. Talked to Rachel Wheeler about bumping into the keeper.
Fans here don't like that call, though.
You would have to imagine a lot of these folks were here last year when UCLA came up with that really an all-star team and routed Washington 6-0. It was senior day for the Huskies. Not a good way to go out with that memory, losing 6-0. That's offside. Claire Winter a couple of steps in front. Alex Gorn is our referee today. The assistants, Jeff Hosking and Scott Turner.
And that's a good job by Mackenzie Karras organizing that back line and stepping as before that ball is played. So the Winter is offside, in fact.
Washington needs to be careful here because Taylor Smith's right there. Here comes Washington again. UCLA a little slow to get back defensively. Sheckman takes it on her knees right at that near post. That's been one of the criticisms of this UCLA team. The midfield and the back line has been a little slow to react, and people are running onto them and challenging, especially those center backs. You got to be moving when they get to you, or people are going to go right by you, and UCLA's been a little slow to react. That's been the criticism.
Well, it's just about reading the game and reading the visual cues of when to step, when to drop, no pressure on the ball. You've got to drop, and that was a clear case of them just being a bit slow in reading that.
Smith, midfield. Smith got bumped, taken away by Perez. Into the 25th minute now. The ball served in by Perez, and Sheckman had her off one of her defenders right in front of her, and Sheckman just made sure of that one.
And I don't mind that look by Perez. She obviously underhit it, but it was a good patient attack, and what started that was just Kippy Keever coming off the flank and cutting inside and allowing the outside back to get around her. That's something that Coach Gallimore wants to see more. And it's something you have to, quite frankly, do in this 4-3-3 formation.
Alvarado, you're not going to see that very often, taken away at midfield. It was Simon, and Simon asked for it right back, said, put this ball at my feet. Simon going to lay it off now and see if she makes a run to the top of the 18. I thought they'd try and go back to her one more time.
Well, her movement wasn't dynamic enough. She laid it to Kimby Keever, and then she jogged into a space. She needs to get there dynamically or pull herself out and find a new angle.
I was waiting for it as well. I thought she would lay it off and then bolt into the 18.
I think they're probably so used to Keever taking on 1v1. She was just saying, hey, have at her. And in that case, Kim Keever didn't come out with it.
You hear us talking a lot about Simon and Keever for the University of Washington. Simon 15 and Keever 20. Two players from Southern California who actually grew up as rivals. They played against each other on the club level, and they admitted, there's a great article on the Washington website, they said, we hated each other when we were 8, 9, 10 years old. And then eventually their two club teams merged into one. One growing up in the Redondo Beach, Torrance area, just south of LAX, and the other one growing up in Manhattan Beach. So Miracosta High School, Redondo Union High School, arch rivals. And then they both end up at the University of Washington, and they forged a friendship, but it's been slow. Now they're buddies. Now they laugh and tease each other about the past.
Well, yeah, now they're teammates. They get to enjoy each other's prowess on the field. A nice combination on that right flank.
Yeah, Kelsey Hedge over there. First time she's gotten a call today. Served in. UCLA's back line's been better today than we saw early in the season. Darren Jenkins lost it. But a foul that's going to go back over to the Bruins. UCLA, two-time defending Pac-12 champions. UCLA has an 11-game conference winning streak. 23-game conference unbeaten streak. The last time UCLA lost a Pac-12 game, November 2nd, 2012 at USC. So Amanda Cromwell has never lost a Pac-12 game.
That's a remarkable statistic.
In her third season now, yeah, especially this conference.
Right. I mean, she came into a talented group of players, and then she's a great coach herself, so that's why she's been able to continue what was, in essence, left for her.
Alvarado won the national championship her first year as the head coach. 8 months after she signs the contract, she's holding up the national championship trophy.
I think she's thinking, that was probably a good decision.
That's timing. Courtney Proctor, redshirt junior from Santa Clarita, that's north of LA.
And she's someone who's transitioned from a front runner to now being center back for UCLA just this season.
And tonight making her 5th consecutive start. Serta now has all kinds of room as she comes across the center stripe. Harassed from behind. Serta still has the ball and is able to poke it out. Goralski takes on a defender. Goralski wants to get it to the right foot. Washington has the book on Goralski. At some point she had to put that ball to her left.
It was just a nice piece of defending by McIlvaine on that flank.
And Cromwell wasn't just a great coach at UCLA, of course, at Central Florida, took them to the Elite Eight. They beat North Carolina in the 3rd round. That got people's attention. And it was funny when we were asking her about this young UCLA team and all the heavy expectations and playing these big name teams that they have. They've already played Virginia #1. They played North Carolina. She said, look, we were like this in Central Florida. We were always underdogs. I liked that role. I liked that every night it's a battle. And she used this great phrase, pressure is a privilege. And if somebody doesn't put that on a t-shirt, I'm going to. That's just great stuff.
You might like being the underdog, but if you're underachieving in a sense, then that's when it's frustrating.
Well, and you can lose confidence. You can see who they face. They've played 4 ranked teams already, and they've gone 2-2 against those teams. They just shut out Pepperdine. That's when Scheckman took over in goal, shut out the 19th ranked Waves, and then the Pac-12 opener shut out Oregon. There's Taylor Smith. Haven't called her name in a while. Thought she was going to pull the trigger with the left. To Jenkins. Darian Jenkins. And a shot off with the right, but that too was blocked. Goralski cuts it back. Into the game for UCLA, Christina Konko-Mochikowski.
And this game, in essence, is really playing out the way both these coaches feared a bit, where they're still lacking that final pass in the attacking third. It's been a game largely played in the center of the midfield and just nothing dangerous happening as we near the 18.
Sort of had to come off her foot for just a second, able to recollect. Serves the ball right to the spot. Nice battle on the far side, won by Jenkins, at least for the time being. Now she's double teamed in the corner and Washington takes it away. So Washington is well prepared defensively, forcing UCLA to uncomfortable spots on the field and then bringing extra defenders.
But as they play out of pressure, they have to keep the ball, keep possession so they're not chasing for 90 minutes. Get numbers forward.
Allie, can you tell when you're on the field, can you tell that you're chasing? Or does that message have to come from the side? Is it because you're gassed?
No, you exactly. Yeah. You can't hear the coaches if they are yelling at you because you're breathing so hard. So you know you're chasing.
So you have to recognize it on your own.
Well, you have to recognize then what to do about it. You know, it's one thing to know you're exhausted and you're gassed. It's another thing to know what needs to change.
Perez to Simon. And now in the corner, Kimby Kiever. One touch with the left and deflected away. Served back in by Mackenzie Karras. We talked about her at the top of the show.
And Washington is having success going down this left flank with Kimby Kiever. If she can stay and hold her width a bit longer, I think she's going to have more time and space to work, and I think it's going to create more havoc for UCLA, keep them a bit more stretched, and create more gaps for other players to run into. And here's a look at Kimby Kiever just recovering nicely to the ball. These are nights when the ground is moist and you can just slide for days. You love it.
Washington had the sprinklers going about 90 minutes before game time, and it's not hot here. It was in the high 60s at that point. Sun was setting. I know some teams will water down the pitch when they know a fast team is coming in. Slow things down just a little bit. This is a beautiful facility, though, and it drains real well.
Yeah, so it doesn't, then that would play into their hands where you have a slick night and the ball plays quickly. Groundskeepers must know what they're doing.
Soften it up. They do it in baseball, too. Wow, look at how fast Smith is. I've seen her play 20 games, and still there's a couple times during each match where I just say, wow, because she blows past people. I mean, her first step is ridiculous. Watch how fast she goes by defenders.
It's just a nice little step over, and she tries to go play it on one side of the player and go around her, but that's a place where she needs to be a smarter player, because that player defending her, the first defender had cover behind, so even if she did get to that ball, there was a second defender there to clean it up. That move just wasn't on in that moment.
Jenkins left side. She has not had a lot of room to operate. Loses one defender, cuts back behind a second. Steps into the 18, and another defender comes over. Every time Jenkins looks up, there's at least one. That time she took on 3. And wasn't that UCLA's plan coming in? They're going to run right at those senior center backs of Washington, take them on, force them into a decision. Could be dangerous here. Proctor going to let that ball run a little bit and then has to play it out. The center backs, Allison Braz and Mackenzie Karras for Washington, the heart of the defense. And Amanda Cromwell was talking about going right after them. Why would you do that?
Well, in this case, they're talking about in their formation, you want to have dynamic runs in behind and make them make decisions. You really want to test them and their ability to pass on players, knowing when to step and when to drop. But I don't see a lot of dynamic movements right now with their front line. In this 4-2-3-1 formation, those outside wingers aren't getting up on that back line often enough yet.
Perez dancing on the chalk line on the far side. And finally the ball rolled out.
And I think that's a case of where she talked about really switching to a 3-5-2 and then engaging those 2 center backs.
Defensively, that was Haley Mace for UCLA, another freshman who's been getting a lot of extra time now. Looks like Serta's going out. And Amber Munnerlyn is coming in for UCLA. She had the game-winning goal earlier this year against Wisconsin. Munnerlyn's got good pace and can be dangerous with the ball at her feet.
I think you could say that for any player on this UCLA team.
Well, you were talking about it when you were doing your prep this week, that you were amazed as you went through it and how many of these players were high school All-Americans and Gatorade State Players of the Year.
National team pool players.
Yeah, national team pool players. Perez slides to poke that ball back forward. Well, you win a national championship, and then you come back and lose just one game last year, kids are going to want to come play for you.
And LA is not a terrible city.
And Westwood's a pretty good part of Los Angeles.
Right.
It really does have a college feel. Oh, Sheckman got her hands up at the last second, spills the rebound, and then pounces on it. Her reaction time has been good. We've seen her take a ball out of the air, save one down on the ground, and here collect after the spill.
It was, but how about Shannon Simon just getting herself faced up in the box? She pulls away from that defender, gives herself a little bit of a window to get that shot off, and she hit it. She connected with it nicely.
Off the left.
Just too obviously close to Sheckman. Makes an easy save on that one. I've been impressed with Shannon Simon thus far. She talked about how excited she is to have this newfound freedom and know her role as that number 10 playmaker for the Huskies. Because you want to be a free player when that's your style of play. You want to be creative and have your coach's goodwill to make mistakes and then make beautiful things happen. And I'm just getting good glimpses from her and her decision making, when to take players on, as she did in the box there. That's why she has 5 goals. But then also when to set players up and connect and find a better tempo.
And that's why she has 3 assists. Leads the team in both categories. Last year, Simon led Washington with 5 assists on the year. Into the 39th minute. I think UCLA has heard the call from Amanda Cromwell about slowing the game down a little bit and showing some patience. I've seen UCLA pass the ball backwards more tonight than I have in prior games, and with purpose, not just playing catch.
Right.
And then here they move quickly through the midfield. There you go. There's Taylor Smith playing that ball backwards. Sometimes the shortest distance going forward is backwards.
I'll trust you that makes sense.
It took me years to understand that in soccer. Why are you going that way?
It's all about setting up the opponent. You want to pull them out of the space that you want to exploit.
If I don't explain it, does it make me sound smarter?
Yes, it does.
Baffling and brilliant at the same time. But you're watching UCLA put that into practice. And it seems like a simple concept in soccer.
You are, but you're not seeing the final third.
Well, that's been their problem all year, right? That's why they have 10 goals.
Right.
They're missing that final piece, final pass, or someone to finish. They're missing Sam Mewis, who scored so many goals for UCLA over her career. But nine seniors graduated, 9 starters left last year. 7 of those players are playing professional soccer right now.
But they have talent in this group.
Of course.
To put it together, and now it's just a matter of getting that confidence, making the right decisions, and finding the right unit that can perform well together.
I think it's why people are trying to jump on UCLA early at the beginning of the year, because they know this team is going to get better. There's just too much talent out here.
It could absolutely be true.
In the meantime, Washington actually has the better overall record at 7-2-1. Just getting started in the conference season. Washington lost at Arizona 1-0. UCLA won at home against Oregon. Same score. A little over 4 minutes until the halftime whistle. Proctor's done a very good job in the back. She's that last line of defense. If she misses that ball, there's trouble. But she's been clean tonight.
I think she's been very good in organizing that back line as well. They haven't tried to go up at the heart of UCLA too often.
There's Haley Mace defensively for UCLA, the freshman, staying in position. Doing a good job. It's Pascal Dumesnil for Washington, who's coming to the game number 13. Don't forget, coming up just a couple of minutes, it's the Pac-12 Soccer Halftime Report with Katie Boggs back in San Francisco. Washington State taking on USC. That's a good matchup right there. Katani McAlpine, the USC coach, used to be at Washington State for 3 years. He's the one who put them on the map. Get it back to Katie Boggs in San Francisco in 3 minutes and change here. UCLA with some pressure in the middle third, trying to force a turnover. Well played by Washington, felt the pressure, played back, switch it, but then the giveaway.
And those are just silly giveaways for the Huskies.
Jenkins, nice work. Chakowski with a quick touch.
Allison Braz had time on the ball to pick out a teammate and just really misconnected.
Alvarado back to Kasky. Schechtman's been tested a couple of times in the UCLA goal. Not so much for Macon Kufeld. Munnerlyn got the defenders to turn. Back to Smith. Serves the ball in. Wanted to go to Jenkins. Jenkins trying to win it in the air. Picked up by Alvarado momentarily, but couldn't collect it.
And when UCLA got that ball high to Munnerlyn, no one was trying to really get in advance of her. There was no dynamic movement off the ball. And again, the run comes first in that final third. And there's just a lack of movement up top for UCLA. So the final pass isn't going to come.
Nice takeaway by Dumenil for Washington. Here comes UW. Kelsey Hedge got off a mild shot. That ball was drifting away from the target. She couldn't get much on it.
Oh, but if there's something positive Coach Gallimore can talk to her team about is when they've had an expansive shape, when they've gotten heels on the touchline and they found those players out wide, they're having success getting around the flank, driving end line, and then also cutting inside. But the big expansive shape is what's creating their opportunities. And that's something that's risky for teams when you're playing UCLA because they are so dynamic in the transition, but you have to buy into your game plan.
30 seconds now to play in the first half. If it remains scoreless, we're going to talk with Leslie Gallimore, Washington head coach, on her way to the dressing room.
And for UCLA, I mean, it just comes back to better off-the-ball movement in that final third and creating opportunities to slip players in. And here you see Taylor Smith just really coolly and smartly cutting in front of, Amanda Perez.
6, 5, 4.
That ball out to midfield, and that's the way we'll finish the first half. So, Allie Wagner, I think we're getting what we expected coming in. Both teams are going to try to slow things down a little bit, be a bit more deliberate. UCLA is not a big scoring team. Washington has been good defensively, so I'm not real surprised that we're scoreless after 45 minutes.
I think I'm a bit surprised. There's attacking presence and personalities on both teams to make things happen. I've been impressed with the defensive work and the numbers getting behind the ball to just kind of clog things up in that 18-yard box. But I think both sides can be more dynamic. For UCLA, it's off-the-ball movement. It's getting into gaps and seams that people can play a final pass. And for Washington, it's continuing to spread the field and finding those players out wide and letting them be special on the flanks. I say drive end line more often, get to the goal line and cut it back for the Huskies in their case to create more opportunities.
Leslie Gallimore, the Washington head coach, joins us on Headset Down on the field. Well, I thought your kids did a good job with UCLA's pace. What did you think of the first 45 minutes?
Yeah, it was pretty good. You know, I think both ways. I thought we did a good job of dropping, getting behind the ball, not giving them a lot of space between our keeper and our back line, and being condensed enough and covering well enough to thwart their attack. And then I'm going to go with Allie Wagner. You know, I think we need to spread the field a little bit more. And
she was right, Leslie?
I thought our mobility was actually pretty good. Kelsey Hedge has been really good for us, moving from side to side a little bit. Rachel's hold-up play has been good. We got in line. I would say when we get in line now, we just need to pull it off the keeper. You know, we've put it across inside the 3 a couple different times and didn't really get anything good on frame. So I think if we pull it off on those services, it'd be great, or keep earning corners and convert on a corner.
Good stuff, Leslie. Thank you for the time.
Yep, you're welcome.
See you in the second half. Leslie Gallimore in her 22nd year on Montlake. And this is a pretty good bunch. Washington banging on the door of the top 25. They're 7-2-1. And tonight, tied at halftime, the UCLA. Katie Boggs in San Francisco after the break.
Good evening and welcome into our San Francisco studios. I'm Katie Boggs and this is your Pac-12 halftime report. There's more soccer going on tonight about 300 miles away from Huskies Stadium. It's number 21 Washington State hosting USC. Both teams 1-0 in conference play. First half scoreless game. Bo Bremer driving, but Sammy Jo Prudhomme gets a piece, and the ball is cleared. 25th minute, Trojans on the attack. Savannah Levin makes a run, but gets off the shot and misses just high. 2 minutes later, it's Levin again, and this time, Ella Diedrich comes up with the big save. That game is scoreless at half. And tonight is just the start of a full weekend of soccer on the Pac-12 network. Utah head coach Rich Manning looking for his 150th career victory when the Utes take on Oregon State tomorrow. Then a top 25 matchup will get things rolling for more soccer on Sunday.
Stadium on the Pac-12 networks. Jim Watson and former U.S. national team star Allie Wagner. No score at halftime between UCLA and Washington. The Bruins 1-0 in conference coming in. Washington is 0-1. Before we start the second half, let's look back at the first 45 minutes and see what happened. Washington got the better at the offensive end, but UCLA's defense was up to the challenge.
Well, just look at those numbers. They're trying to get back behind the ball. It's a player who's recovering who wins it. And then look at this play here where Shannon Simon's on the ball at the top of the 18, and you see four UCLA Bruins just trying to close in around her. She is able to elude that first pressure, plays a nice 1-2, gets a shot, and here's another look at her getting a near post shot on frame. That was off of a corner kick. And they've been dominant. I mean, look at 5 shots to 2 shots for Washington. And that's largely because, as I said in the first half, they've been stretching the field. 4 shots on goals. They're creating more quality opportunities than UCLA. And UCLA just has to be more dynamic in their final third.
How about Ariel Scheckman, the goalkeeper for UCLA, has made a couple of saves, timely saves, one on the ground, one in the air.
Yeah, but she has, and I don't want to take anything away from her, but she hasn't been tested that much. You know, everything's been in a savable area for her, but she's been solid and come up when she's been making saves that she has to make.
She's played 2.5 games, and she hasn't allowed a goal yet, so she's done her job.
And her defense looks pretty good in front of her, so, you know, maybe her communication is a bit better in this half.
Amanda Cromwell joins us, the UCLA head coach, down on the field. You talked about your team slowing things down and being more patient. Did you see that in the first half?
I saw it a bit at times. I think we played some better possession soccer again, looking for the good final pass.
What do you think about the movement up top from your front runners?
Well, you see Taylor Smith be very dynamic. She's caused a lot of problems, I think, for their defense. The movement can be a bit better. We're looking for our attacking center mid to get in behind and be that second runner. You'll see some of that this half.
Appreciate the time, Amanda. Go back to work.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Amanda Cromwell, her 3rd season at UCLA, and of course won the national championship in 13, was the Soccer America Coach of the Year. So she has tinkered with this lineup. 19 different players have started for UCLA. Those are the 11 she'll start with here in the second half. I think they're getting closer. Every time I see UCLA, you start to see patches of it now, and they just need to kind of string it all together.
Well, like I said, you can see that they're dynamic. They have players that are capable of creating havoc just with their movement, but we're not seeing it often enough, and we're not seeing it tied in with the rest of the team. It just seems like individual efforts in the case of Taylor Smith, and that's something that they're going to have to address going forward. I mean, she's talking about getting that attacking center mid to be dynamic and getting behind that back line. That will add something absolutely for UCLA if they can possess the ball long enough to allow her that time and space to get forward.
For Washington, you know, they've had the luxury of kind of playing in the shadows of UCLA and Stanford the last couple of years. They've gotten good, and not a lot of people have noticed, but this is a team that went to the Sweet 16 a year ago, and I'm watching a team that you can see now is gelling, a young team that's played a bit together now, and they understand the message from Leslie Gallimore has been clear. Washington, to me, looks like a dangerous team in this league.
Oh, I think so. I mean, they have, like you said, 6 freshmen and sophomores, 6 underclassmen starting in key roles, and they're not playing that way. They're playing very composed, and they look to be executing the game plan that Coach Gallimore is putting out for them. Because they're not as fast and athletic as UCLA, but that doesn't mean anything in the game of soccer. You can tear teams apart with ball movement and with movement off the ball.
And Gallimore has really stitched together this quilt. They have players from 9 different states, 9 from Washington, 8 from California, but then they have players from places as diverse as Idaho and Honolulu.
Idaho is like another country. Yes, it is more diverse.
It's just summer out at Coeur d'Alene. It's beautiful. Lavruski. Nice collection there. dancing away from Husky attackers. Just getting started here in the second half. Jim Watson and Allie Wagner at Husky Soccer Stadium in Seattle. What was a warm day turning into a cool night. And here comes Taylor Smith flying into the 18, now reverses, tries to get it back to her right foot. I would like to see her take a left-footed shot here sometime.
You hit it on the head, but also I'd like to see her combine with her teammates. It was a great individual effort to advance the ball towards the top of 18, but then combine. Find someone to play the ball with, off of, and get on the other end of it.
Tried it right there. Tried to get one to Claire Winter. Taylor Smith's going to get attention every time she touches it. So she can use that to her advantage. Look for other players making runs off the ball. Taylor Smith has an assist this year. I think she's going to have many more because everybody's going to start their defensive pressure on number 14.
Well, in that last case, she had pressure. There was cover around her, but she blew by both of them.
Well, she's one of those players, those rare players that can completely create on her own.
She can, and that's so hard for some players to learn how to then know when to lay it off and when to combine with teammates when you have that individual talent. And I think if she can add that element to her game, I mean, she's just going to be lights out in this league.
Rachel Wheeler, where's the twin ones on the home black and purple for Washington?
And
2 goals and 2 assists for Wheeler this year.
She's someone that we haven't called enough tonight. I mean, she's the one that needs to hold up play for Washington. They need to find her to feet more, allow time for the outside backs to get forward.
Be another corner kick for Washington. Mentioned at the top of the show how good they've been on corner kicks this year, at least getting them. Played that one short corner on the ground.
I love that set piece.
Right back to Simon.
They work Amanda Perez off of that near post often on these corner kicks. It's just a different wrinkle this time. She gets faced up and she slips the ball back in for Shannon Simon, who, unfortunately can't curl that one in, but does earn another corner kick.
I thought Simon had one touch too many before she took the shot. Havana McIlvain. The ball's headed out. By the way, Havana has sisters named London and Geneva. I think her parents travel an awful lot. Yeah. Coming up and taking that ball out of the air.
Sheckman is just very good in the air.
Well, that was the book coming in, right? Good in the air.
Yeah.
Needs to get better on balls on the ground.
And often in women's soccer, that's the weakness of talented shot stoppers is balls flighted into the box, but that is not the case for her.
UCLA's Pac-12 opener against Oregon. She had 10 saves in that game. I would guess that Amanda Cromwell would want a young keeper to get as much experience as she could. So 10 saves, that's a lot of mileage in one game. As long as she keeps them all out. Chance here. Sheckman made the save, kept it in front of her. Beautiful shot. We were just talking about Wheeler, weren't we?
We were, and this all started with just nice flank play, nice piece of skill, and just getting someone to that initial ball so that can skip through to Wheeler. It drops down for her, but Wheeler it just makes it too easy there on Sheckman.
Hit it right to her. Rolling it back into Wheeler. Wheeler laying it back off. So that's Wheeler and Kelsey Hedge that were working together, the 10 and the 11. I don't know, I've heard shooters talk about sometimes when you can't decide left or right, shoot it right at the keeper, right? Because you figure they're going to make a guess one way or the other.
I think in that case, she was trying to curl it far post, bend it with the left inside peg, but she just put it right by the keeper.
Yeah, and Sheckman was living goal central, so she was waiting for it.
It's a promising looking attack for UW.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's all Wheeler now. That was her again on the far side. So they've moved her back and forth. and they seem to be playing everything through her. If Wheeler can start to become a threat, that'll open things up for Simon and Kiever and Perez.
Right, she's one of the keys for the Huskies and allowing Simon time to get in advance of that front line so she can get in the box and find her own shot.
Taylor Smith. Lauren Caskey. Kenzie Serta, and here comes UCLA. Little tic-tac-toe. Lovrusky almost got to that ball, and coming out with a slide, Megan Kufeld. Bounced off her line.
Right, just great anticipation by Kufeld to read that, because that is a nice final pass. It's a great run by Lovrusky getting in. That's something that was lacking in the first half for UCLA.
Great decision by Kufeld. If she stays on her line, Lovrusky's got that ball one-on-one.
A half a second longer, and Lovrusky wins that.
There's Simon. Simon will shoot with the left. Goes to Wheeler. A little strong. Sheckman with her fingertips.
But I love what Simon did on this. It's just a subtle nuance, but Simon takes an extra touch inside, and we're going to get a look here. She drags the ball inside to make the defenders take one more step and allow space for Wheeler and that ball to slip through that channel. And I mean, just a difficult angle for Wheeler to get that across frame.
Yeah, if she could have got her toes out and just slowed that ball up, would have had options. Instead, had to just chop it with the right.
No, but Shannon Simon is finding some joy out there in this at the beginning of the part of this half.
Well, she's literally an attacker. Every time Simon gets it, she comes right at you. Put a warning up there?
I'm just not. I'm
bit of a dangerous play.
Warning of getting wet on the ground. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it might have been an accumulation of play throughout the day.
On the grass.
Well,
sorry, I'm gonna leave it alone.
Why am I in the position of defending referees?
Because I'm not going to.
Back to Perez. Lovrusky cuts it off. So now everything's being contested in the middle third.
It was just good team defending by the Huskies right there. All started with Perez tracking that runner.
Down the right touch line. Dumeniil. Pascal Dumeniil from San Diego. Smith just running away and through. A slalom run at midfield. Still has the ball at her feet. Washington retreats. Left side is Serta. Holds up the run. Right foot shot, soft and handled easily.
And they just run out of ideas in that final third. And you get a glimpse at how fast Taylor Smith is. I mean, she's pulling away from players with the ball at her feet. That says a lot. But again, it's just a matter of your teammates stop running for you when you hold on to the ball so long often. And if she can find a teammate sooner and then get it back, I just think a lot more is going to open up for UCLA as they get towards the opponent's goal.
So if you were playing off of Taylor Smith, she's on your team, what do you do when she takes off on one of those runs?
Well, half the team can't catch her.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, they can't catch her. So she's isolating herself by virtue of her speed. And so she's got to maybe dribble centrally, dribble across the field often. And that opens things up for teammates.
Perez trying to slip a ball through to Wheeler, and Sheckman comes off her line again to make a save and then recollect. She's been lucky that Washington hasn't followed up and poached one of these spilled rebounds.
You're right, but this is another good-looking attack. Just a clean layoff by Wheeler there. And a good shot. Sheckman gets down again quickly. Nice save.
And Proctor was back there as a sentry in case Sheckman couldn't get to it. Haley Mace, good collection at midfield. Back to the freshman, but it rolls over the touchline. Washington throw in, 57th minute, no score. Second game of the conference season for both the Huskies and the Bruins. Sort of able to keep it in, but nobody there but Huskies. UCLA going to Washington State on Sunday, 11 a.m. You can see it right here on the Pac-12 network.
I mean, you just get this sense with these two teams that UCLA can break this game open. They can find the back of the net with a piece of individual brilliance, or maybe one or two players combining, but the Huskies are going to do it more with a concerted effort, getting numbers forward and playing off of each other and breaking the team down with their ball movement and combining with one another.
And right now, this game to me feels 50-50. That's an offside. USC's coming here on Sunday to face UW. Weather's supposed to be nice. Hasn't been any rain. Blue skies. What a beautiful day it was in the Emerald City today. Not a cloud anywhere.
Just gorgeous up here.
Sunday, 4:30. Pac-12 Washington, or watch Pac-12 now at pac-12.com. It's Washington and USC women's soccer on Sunday. So you can see them both. It's going to be a good conference race. You know, Stanford right now is the best team, ranked 4th in the country. But there's a chase pack. Smith taking on two defenders, gets it back, left foot, rolls one across the middle. Serta was there, that was the target. Serta again. Serta did a good job to make herself available twice.
She did, and they almost found her. I mean, this is a much brighter looking spell for UCLA in the final third. That's a great ball by Lavreski, and that's a nice little gap for Serta to slip into between those two defenders. I mean, she almost gets her big toe on this.
Saturday, Pac-12 Network hosts another
goal and an assist last year, has a goal so far this year, but back in 13, she had 7 goals, 4 of them game-winning, and none more important than the game-winning goal in overtime of the NCAA final against Florida State. UCLA's first national championship in women's soccer. And after the water polo team, the men's water polo team won last year, UCLA now 112 NCAA championships, more than any other school in the country by far. That's why UCLA's motto is champions made here.
Champions recruited here might be more appropriate.
Yeah. One time and popped up.
That was a good ball set in the box, and for Kelsey Hedge, that's just a case of, do I head it? Do I volley it with my foot? Do I head it? Default is always you want to head that. You go down for that. It's just much easier to keep it on frame.
But you can blast that ball one time if you catch it right. It's just tough, though.
You can. It's just a greater margin for error.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger movement.
Feel like the pitch is starting to tilt a little bit in Washington's favor?
I think this half, absolutely.
Bluffing a shot from the top. Dumainil chops one inside. Wheeler had it for just a second. Proctor clears. McIlvain sends it right back in. Now back out to midfield. Washington moving the ball well. Everybody touching it. Making the UCLA defense react. Dumainil, nice cut back to the left foot. Wheeler knocked down. Good play on both sides. Both players had their hands up.
I think it's just a case of the Huskies right now spreading the field more so than they even did in the first half. They're finding success because they are changing the point of attack, and they're doing it quickly. That's one of the things you want to do when you're playing a pacey opponent.
UCLA defense under assault right now. Zoe Kowalski, the turn. Knocked out goal kick, and that's much needed right now. UCLA needs a breath.
So you want to make them chase. But beyond that, you want to stretch them out and create bigger seams to find your teammates and to combine into. And that, in essence, then tires out that back line, tires out those defensive mids. And they become just a a step late. They lunge in, they dive in defensively. They just become a bit more undisciplined, individually and collectively.
Sorry, Allie. Jenkins has come back in for UCLA, so that's good offense, good speed on that far side. Malcolm Rochikowski also in for the second time today for the Bruins. She got extended minutes in the first half. Did a good job in the midfield.
And I know Jenkins is a typical starter, but I've liked what Livreski's brought just in terms of her ability to check into that seam and play make.
And there's Jenkins trying to get on the end of this one. And they had Serta for just a second, running right down the pipe. She had her hand in the air. They could not deliver the ball. Tell you what, every time I look up, Serta's inside the 18, right in front of the goal. Then get a ball to Serta. That might be the difference tonight for UCLA.
I think she's got a very good sense of where to be and when. They're just lacking that final pass.
And at the opposite end, I keep waiting for Wheeler to get off another one. Wheeler's certainly been the most dangerous of the Huskies here in the second half. Haley Mace able to keep that for UCLA as it's knocked out. Quickly back in play and a whistle. Foul on UCLA. Alex Gore, the referee, gives it over to Washington. Huskies are undefeated on this pitch this year. Actually, they've been perfect. They're 4-0. Miranda Rawlings, a reserve for Washington, said this is a sacred place and we're going to defend it. You have to have that attitude about your home field.
Oh, yeah.
It's your house.
And you want to inspire your student body, get them to come out and support you, and make this a difficult place for opponents to play beyond how you perform on the field.
Havana McElvey, Denver, Colorado, two-time All-State. Nice heel flick. They try to get it back to Simon. Boy, even when Simon doesn't have the ball now, she's getting two defenders. They're just marking her everywhere.
Well, especially as she gets into that 18-yard box.
Taken away midfield. Dominique Bonflecha. Loose ball popped up and in. Washington up 1-0.
What Bonflecha does here, she drives in. She decides to take the shot. I thought it was a bad decision at the time. I thought she had a player to slip in Kelsey Hedge, but nonetheless, Hedge doesn't give up on it. And you talked about it earlier, Jim, that Sheckman is spilling these balls driven at her, and that's a perfect case, and Hedge sensed it was there and then finds the back of the net.
And Hedge ran through two defenders to get to that and knock it away from the keeper. Goal comes in the 65th minute, second of the year for Kelsey Hedge. The kid from Post Falls, Idaho.
Idaho, where the diversity starts for this team. No, back to Bonflecha. I mean, for her to pick that ball up, she wins the challenge at half field and then just keeps going, beats her first defender, puts her head down and says, I am not going to pass it to you, Kelsey, because Kelsey Hedge was trying to make a diagonal run in behind. Gets her shot off and really creates that goal.
Chance here for UCLA to get the equalizer right back at you. Is it Malcolm Rochikowski? It was quick by the Bruins on the counter. The shot by Taylor Smith. Another rebound spilled by a keeper. See if number 9 comes in here for the Bruins with a headband. Rochikowski right there.
And that's Taylor Smith getting end line, which she has not been able to do all night. She cuts that back. Kufeld does not make a good play on that ball, just spills it right to UCLA.
First of the season for Christina.
That is Christina Morchakowski.
Christina makes it 1-1. Comes right back with a goal.
It just
See if it goes down as the 65th minute as well. So we played 65 minutes without a goal and have 2 in 30 seconds.
But that's all too often in the game of soccer, that one team scores, and then in that next 5-minute period, someone scores again.
Well, you got to like the grit that UCLA shows on the road. They give up the goal, and they come right back and get one, and now we're level at 1 apiece. And both poached goals off the spilled rebounds by the keepers. So no clean sheet for Kufeld tonight, the all-time leader in Washington history with 19 shutouts, 3 this year. Nice substitution by Cromwell, getting Kako Mrochikowski into this game. Pretty much the same place in the first half and second half, and she had an effect. As she is turning on the ball. Jenkins. .23 minutes now to play in regulation. Jenkins looking for help. Just rolled one across the 18 and nobody there for the Bruins. Everybody kind of caught watching the play in front of them.
But that was such a good idea by Jenkins, because she was running away from the target on this ball, and she thought she would have a teammate running in. I mean, that is a great idea.
That's sort of coming in very late, but you're right. You feel it, all that open space, and that's where everyone should be collecting.
And that's what Coach Cromwell has been asking for, is one extra pass.
It was a perfectly weighted ball, and it just rolled through there. So tantalizing. Kufeld comes out to pick it up on a bounce.
And the momentum has really swung towards UCLA after that goal, that equalizer. Yeah, very quickly.
I think Washington was feeling pretty good about themselves, leading UCLA 1-0. Remember, the Bruins beat them here last year 6-0. But 2 different teams. A lot of players on both sides gone. Serta trying to pick up that loose ball. Now here comes Jenkins flying in. Knocked out, see who gets it. Be Bruin ball. UCLA's playing with some urgency now. Jenkins took a shoulder in the corner. And has it taken away. So the referee letting both of them go at it. Proctor hustles back to midfield. Nearing the 70th minute. 20 to play. Tied at 1. Winner. Jenkins. Jenkins with the left. Has it knocked out. Corner kick Bruins. Dominique Bonflasha for Washington with the slide tackle. Got to be right if you're inside the area. Got to get to that ball.
Very good timing on that.
So Serta's down there. And so is Claire Winter for UCLA.
And Proctor, number 77, is going to be a target on these.
That's Serta. Alvarado, been quiet in the second half. It's funny, you nailed it. Washington was celebrating that goal and feeling very good about themselves, and matter of 30 seconds, UCLA sees control back. I mean, it's tied, but it feels like UCLA has the advantage now. A footer hits the side of the net.
And this is where maybe that youthfulness of the Washington Husky team plays a role. Someone has to step up and lead and say, we're okay, we got this, we scored first. Just keep things tight defensively and continue doing what they were doing, which was connecting enough to allow the team to get in their expansive shape and find those players out wide.
Serta. Alvarado. Smith. Defense backed up on Smith. One bounce trying to go to Jenkins. Easy play for Kufeld.
And UCLA is doing a much better job of getting numbers into that final third. They're not just taking players 1v3 and trying to make something happen on their own. They're allowing teammates to join in, and they look a bit more dangerous.
Washington ball.
Tonight, it's a top 25 women's volleyball battle.
McElvain the throw-in. Shea Villanueva. Villanueva's become a big part of the Huskies' offense here in the last 15 minutes. Taken off it, well played by Claire Winter, UCLA. That's your goal scorer, Christiana Konkel-Mroczkowski. Lays it off to Smith. And this is where you'd like to see Smith have some options, right? People make some runs for her, and she attacks, create a little something, because it seems like when she gets the ball, everyone stops.
And I said it before, sometimes that happens when a player kind of is on their own page. You tend to just stop your movement, but Konkel-Mroczkowski held the ball up nicely to find Smith. Smith didn't force it either, but she just didn't have any dynamic movement off the ball to find a teammate.
Try to go over the top to Jenkins, not close. Washington read it all the way. It's a hopeful ball.
And Bross did a nice job of chesting that down, but then she's got to find a teammate.
Smith to Jenkins, maybe with the left foot here. Just could never turn, couldn't get faced up against the target. Deflected out, looks like UCLA gets a corner kick out of it. 74th minute, level at 1. Both goals came in the 65th minute. Kelsey Hedge on a follow-up loose ball right in front of the keeper. Able to beat everybody to it, tip it in, and then just 30 seconds later, Konkel-Mroczkowski for UCLA. Also on a missed save. Kufeld with the drop kick well past midfield. Claire Winter to Annie Alvarado. I can see now why players like Winter are getting more time. The freshman who we hadn't heard from much at the beginning of the season has played her way into this lineup. Sure with the ball, making good decisions. There's another one, Haley Mace. Mace quickly into the attacking third. Draws two defenders, looking to lay it off. all the way to the corner, takes two defenders with her and gets a corner kick. So well played all by herself.
Absolutely, and that's something that you want to see out of this formation, is getting that left outside back forward. Haley Mace, she's a younger player, and she's a bit hesitant often to go forward, but it's something Cromwell needs to see out of her time and time again, is her willingness to take players on.
Again, it's Serta and Winter in the corner. Kufeld read it easily. Megan Kufeld was recruited by UCLA, among others, Virginia. She said she came to Washington because it offered everything. It was the complete package. Soccer, school, people, the environment. Got to figure academics worked in there as well. She was the valedictorian in high school. Honors from the science department. So talented and smart. Sheckman just hugging on to that post.
And Kiever does a nice job to beat her player down that left flank. I like the ball by Perez to Kiever initially, but Kiever's at such a difficult angle to put anything on frame. She's got to try to find a better angle to whip that across the frame for a teammate to run onto and not take the shot herself.
We haven't called Kiever's name too much in the second half. UCLA's kind of taken her out of it.
And she's a player that Cromwell was absolutely concerned with, and she considered moving Mace to the other side if Kiever does keep finding success getting behind on pace.
Mentioned at the top of the show that Kiever has 3 goals this year, but 2 of them came against Gonzaga in a 35-second span. You ever score 2 goals that quickly at any level? 35 seconds?
All the time. Well, Washington wants to get Kiever on the ball more. They just need better movement out of her. She can't just stay pigeonholed on that left side. She's got to make diagonal runs in behind. She has to pinch in to allow that left back to get forward. And occasionally, she is fast. She wants to get behind with her pace, but she needs to check back to the ball, get the ball to her feet, and then lay it off and spin. So you've got to mix it up when you're one of these fast front runners to keep those outside backs guessing, keep those center backs guessing what your next move is.
Dumaniel lays it off nicely. Simon with the right, got her chest up, and Sheckman chases that one to the far post. Well, that was a nice effort. And a quick attack, quick strike here by Washington.
Absolutely. Dumaniel is the one who sends it down the line for Simon. Simon's making a great inside-out run to get on the end of that, and then she plays a ball across for Kiever. I mean, that's just a difficult ball for anyone to get on the end of and put on frame.
It looked like a tweener for Kiever. Again, she jumped for it and then had to knot it down.
Right.
I don't know if she had to leave her feet that much.
And if Simon can put that on the field, keep it on the grass, you know, just much easier for Kiever to run onto and put that on frame.
Serta with space, and 3 defenders giving chase. Far post.
What a ball by Serta.
It was a really nice ball, and I think Taylor Smith upset that she couldn't do more with it.
Was it Smith or Jenkins?
It's Jenkins, yes, you're right. Dangerous ball. Kiever, they keep playing the ball in the air to Kiever. She seems to be the target now. This is the pass that UCLA's been asking for all year. This is what Cromwell wants, something like this.
Right, and that final ball just bent in behind it, and I love what Jenkins did. She just pulls off and sits in behind the center back, Karras, and that left back in McIlvain. They have to do a better job of organizing to get someone on her. defensively, that's just too easy. I mean, that's just a free header inside the 6-yard box. That should have been finished.
It looked like Dume Neal maybe came over and got a piece of it too to help out her keeper. Less than 10 minutes now to play. Dume Neal with 3 Bruins around her. Gave it up quickly. Kokomrochikowski ran out of a tackle. And here comes Washington again. Flasha. Off the toes of Simon. Gabby Matlich into the game for UCLA for the first time wearing the 4. Here comes Jenkins running right at the defenders, attacking. Jenkins is tripped up. Play on. Clean tackle, and Jenkins slow to get up. Do you like the no call?
It's one of those plays where Jenkins is trying to cut inside, and it looks as though Bonflasha gets to the ball first. Nice play.
It was clean. Well, every possession now super important. There's a chance for Alvarado. Didn't get much on it. Easy save for Kufeld. This can be one of the better looks that Alvarado's going to have on the day. And maybe just rushed the shot. A lot of chatter coming from the Bruins right now. Trying to build something. Matlich to Jenkins, and now back to Alvarado. Midfield as the Bruins switch it. Smith comes right at Washington. Smith to the edge of the 18. Right-footed shot goes wide.
Good build-up from UCLA to swing the ball, change the point of attack, and get it to one of their special players in Taylor Smith. She cuts inside, easily beats her defender, but again, everyone is on her team, stops their movement. No one was an option. And when that movement stops, it makes it easy on the defense. Yes, it limits Smith's options off the ball, but it also just makes it easier for the defenders to stay home in their positions and remain in good cover places.
I'm trying to decide if they're stopping their run because she doesn't pass, or she doesn't pass because they're stopping their runs.
Well, I think it becomes a chicken and eggs situation where one just keeps making the other, more likely.
Less than 7 minutes now. A lot of pressure now on Allison Braz, Mackenzie Karras, that back line for Washington. Munnerlyn for UCLA there, number 8. Saw her in the first half. Munnerlyn turns, posting up 2, laying it back. Teammate Alvarado. Too much.
We thought that previous attempt for Alvarado might have been her best look of the match, but I think that one was pretty good. I mean, that's great by Munnerlyn to hold play up and to find a teammate, play the way she's facing, but a ball that's running across your body as you're running full pace forward is very difficult to hit.
You can see the reaction from Alvarado. She expected better of herself.
As she should, but I liked what Munnerlyn did in holding up play there, spinning out of pressure, and just simply playing the way she was facing.
Villanueva plays that ball forward. Dominique Bonflasha, another Southern California product, Laguna Niguel, a state title, high school. In fact, her team was ranked number 1 in the nation. Villanueva and then Perez. That shot is dangerous and in. tipped by Sheckman, and a goal for Washington. And the Huskies have regained the lead at 2-1. Oh, you can see the danger building.
You could, and that's Perez, it looks like, who gets on the end of that and finishes it.
Yeah, it is. You know, UCLA just didn't clean this up. This ball just stays loose, and Perez in the pink cleats chops it by Sheckman.
And that's one of the things that I love about Perez is that's the defensive center mid for the Huskies, but she finds her way into the box time and time again to try to get on the end of some of these balls flighted in. And that luckily lands at her feet, and she puts it away. And it all started on this right flank. There was one Husky, I believe it was Shannon Simon, on a throw-in receiving the ball with 4 UCLA defenders around her. And she's able to get out of that pressure, and the Huskies are able to maintain possession, switch it to the opposite side where McIlvain gets forward. They have a nice little ball into the box, and Perez finishes it. That's what Coach Gallimore talks about in getting numbers into the attack.
Yeah, don't give up on a play. UCLA had better numbers, better position. Perez just slipped in, the ball found her feet, and she was able to push it by Sheckman, who was really exposed there by her back line. Letting someone get that close with the ball. Taken away by the Huskies. Now they just want to kill the clock. 4.5 minutes, so they'll pack it in. All 11 on, well, actually 10 on one side of midfield. They had one player out at the top. Bruins have some time here. They scored 30 seconds after Washington scored the lid lifter.
This is where your leaders are so key for both teams. For UCLA, you want to play with urgency but not panic. You don't want to be frantic. And for Washington, you look each other in the eyes and you say, we've got this, you believe, and you keep it tight defensively, and you don't stop running.
Jenkins looking for a pass to Goralski, goes short. And right back to Darian Jenkins. Perez guarding her, got a piece of it, but Jenkins able to fight through. Ball rejected again.
And just good team defending from the Huskies, getting numbers around the ball, allowing that second and third defender to clean up play against Jenkins as she takes on.
Kelsey Hedge coming into the game for Washington. Little gamesmanship here by Leslie Gallimore. Slow things down.
But it's also a case of getting Hedge, who's someone very comfortable on the ball, back on the field, because your best defense is your best offense. Keep the ball, make them chase.
That's right. If you have it, they can't score.
Exactly.
Ariel Sheckman, the Pac-12 goalkeeper of the week, had 2 shutouts coming in, has allowed 2 goals here in the second half by the Huskies. Tough to blame her on that second one. Her back line, I think, kind of let her down a bit.
I think you're completely right on. For once.
Good crowd here. The Husky fans kind of inching up on their seats now. It's cooling down, and they want this victory. Stay undefeated at home. UCLA not finished yet.
And I think they'd love to be the first team to hand Amanda Cromwell her first Pac-12 loss.
That rolls out, be UCLA throw-in. Just over 2 minutes to go. Amanda Cromwell, UCLA head coach, has never lost a Pac-12 game. UCLA has an 11-game winning streak in conference, 23-game unbeaten streak in conference. Less than 2 minutes, Washington with the ball and the lead. Now you can just take this ball to the corner and stand on it. Clock working against the Bruins. You got 2 minutes. Do you want to say happy birthday to your mom on air? Vicky's up in the booth with us.
Absolutely. Happy 70th to my mom, Vicky. She'll kill me for saying 70th.
What'd you say, 39th?
Yeah, I'm sorry, 39.
39,
Exactly
yes.
right.
Joining us up in the booth. Nice to see you. Just over a minute now to play. And Washington taking their time. And for this young Bruin team, the growing pains are going to continue. They've been close. They've gotten better. They played 4 ranked teams. And now Washington is a team that could break into the top 25 with this victory. Looks like Alex Gorin's going to come over and add some time to this.
They've got the pieces to the puzzle, and now it's just a matter of putting them together.
Well, certainly this match could have gone either way tonight. Winter trying to play a long ball to Taylor Smith.
And I think the Huskies have to be pleased with their performance. I mean, they got better as the game progressed. Defensively, they kept things very tight. You know, one mishap by their goalkeeper, allowing that goal.
This could do it right here for Washington. UCLA may not even get another possession, let alone another shot. Huskies going to take it to the corner.
And the initial decision by Wheeler to try to cut inside wasn't a great one, because you only go to goal if it's a layup, if it's a sure thing.
Well, that is going to do it. For the first time since November 2nd of 2012, UCLA has been beaten in conference. Washington 2-1.
And I think, yes, this game could have gone either way, but I think the fair result is for the Washington victory. They stepped up in the second half and really dominated the majority of it with their possession, getting a bigger shape, expansive shape, holding possession, getting numbers forward in the attack, and creating more dangerous opportunities. UCLA looked dangerous when they had individual moments of brilliance, but they didn't do as great of a job as getting numbers forward. When they did, they had some spells and some success. I think both teams look bright going forward in the Pac-12. You know, there's just a few things to continue to improve upon before they hit their stride and hit their peak for the season.
When Washington was beaten at Arizona last week, Leslie Gallimore said we were good enough to win that game. I would think that tonight Amanda Cromwell would say the same thing about UCLA, that they were in it. There's Christina Konko-Mrochikowski, who scored the goal for UCLA in the 65th minute, got them even at 1. But the game-winning goal came in the 85th minute. And that leads us to our Foster Farms play of the game, and it's Amanda Perez just not quitting on it. Watch the pink cleats right in the middle of your screen.
And she's just in the right place at the right time, and that's Havana McElvain getting forward, the left back for the Huskies. That's what they need, and Perez, their defensive center mid, one of their leaders, just making that effort. You never know where the ball's going to end up, where it's going to bounce, and she just makes the effort to get in the box, and it lands at her feet, and she does her job and finishes it.
So Washington remains unbeaten and perfect at Husky Soccer Stadium. They are 5-0. USC's coming in here on Sunday. UCLA has to go to Washington State. Give me something the Bruins need to do to bounce back out on the Palouse.
I keep hammering on this point, but it's just more dynamic movement in that final third. It's getting the numbers forward. It's some of their special players, they're so fast. Dribble inside. Allow time and space for your teammates to get involved in the attack. And I think they're going to find more joy.
Both teams are level at 1-1 in conference. For your producer, Evan Schlaff, your director, Mark Wolfson, and my partner, Allie Wagner, I'm Jim Watson saying so long from Montlake, where Washington beats UCLA 2-1. The Bruins lose in conference for the first time in 3 years.